Welcome to our podcast today. Ask Aaron and Ask EJ. This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
This is Coach Aaron Thigpen, the source. EJ, what's on tap for today?
Yeah, Aaron, I want to talk about what I've seen the last 3 weeks out here of college coaches, recruiting, and the conversations I'm having with these college coaches. And it's interesting because I had a whole like 2 weeks ago about that time, Aaron. I think July 8th or so. I was in front for a day for 6 hours with numerous amount of coaches from all over the country, from Tennessee to Hawaii. I mean, and everything in between. You know, UC Santa Barbara, a little Marymount, some other D3 schools. Redlands, Linfield, a lot of where our athletes can really dig into. And then I'm here in Arizona 2 weeks later and still talking to coaches. And so I just want to kind of inform everyone about the recruiting journey of these 2027s. They're rising seniors, Aaron, and these guys think, oh, I don't have anything right now. It's just too late. It's not. I think the college coaches really want to talk to you and are interested because of the transfer portal stuff is done. You see, early in the summer, Aaron, those guys, were out looking for any guys that are in the portal from June 1st through June 30th. Everyone was looking for the college guy that's in the portal. Now that that's over, it's the high school players' turn to shine. And it's right now. It's been like that for the past 3 weeks, Aaron. And I want to talk a little bit about, what these recruitable players need to do or what they're not doing, because I think it's all in their head and it's all in how they prepare as they start their recruiting journey, which has started really 3 weeks ago, really hard, and really get entrenched into it over the next fall, all the way through, I should say, Aaron, October the 4th. So, with that said, hey, that's what's on the agenda today. And I want to talk a little bit about this because I see a lot of hanging of the heads of athletes and bewilderment. No one knows what's involved in this environment right now except people who are supposedly experts. That's us. So, I want to talk a little bit about that today, my man.
Okay. So you're basically saying they've got a window of opportunity between now and October, and possibly maybe as far as April of next year. Um, and so I guess my question would be, obviously they're not in their high school season,
Right.
and winter ball isn't going to start until maybe, October, November. So what
Right.
should an athlete be doing now? How should they be positioning themselves both from maybe being seen standpoint and also just from I guess a physical preparation standpoint, because again, obviously there's not going to be a lot of games to be played where they can maybe go out and be seen.
Right. So, basically, at this time, there's a lot of all the tournaments across the country, Aaron, are being scouted by college coaches at every level right now,
Mm.
and they've been doing that since the portal stopped. Where June 30th is last day, and you guys
Mhm.
want to get in the portal, and that we're in college. So July 1st, everybody's been out, and they're looking for high school players. High school players get so discouraged because the college coaches didn't respond back to him in June. Well, they were too busy. The recruiters were busy, head
Mhm.
coaches are busy. So the guys need to really reach out right now, all the way through from now until the next year, Aaron. They should be on these college coaches, getting their analytics together, getting their videos together, and all the information they need, their transcripts, all that. It should be to these guys because they are now building their high school board again. They're like, okay, what did we lose? Who did we decommit? Who are we losing in the portal? It's like a fresh start for these guys. And I see a lot of kids going, God, what's going on? I haven't heard anything. I haven't seen anything. But I'm going to tell you, Aaron, in the past 3 weeks, I've talked to so many college coaches about players on our team, let alone players on other teams, about, hey, I just need to talk to this kid, you know? And I think a lot of kids in the summer, they're traveling, playing tournaments, going to showcases and stuff. It's terrible follow up on the player's part. They don't follow up. They get so discouraged because, oh, he didn't talk to me. Well, if out of sight, out of mind, if you don't make that first step, they're not going to find you. And I think everyone's waiting for the college coach to find them. That's the wrong mentality in this environment now. I think the college coaches are so overwhelmed with information. You need to get in front of them by communicating via, whether it's text, Twitter, all that stuff, all the social media platforms that are out there. And also, just, if you find their cell number, text them a message and let them know who you are and put down your key analytics and stuff that you need to know, plus your GPA and your SAT score. So I think it's really important that guys not give up and really dig in right now because, Aaron, in about 2 weeks, the tournaments, so-called tournaments, are going to stop. And there's going to be these showcases that are going to come up before the college coaches get back on campus. The next 3 weeks to 4 weeks are super important for those athletes to understand where those coaches are going to be. They're going to be all over the place. So, they got to dig in right now and really, instead of sitting around not doing anything, they do their homework right now.
So, and from a getting in front of the eyes standpoint, what time of year is that? What's going to be that next great opportunity for them,
Okay.
where these coaches are going to get back on the road, I guess, for lack of a
Right.
better term.
Right. Right.
And how big is that window? Because what I'm thinking is, okay, well, you've played full year baseball, you're just finishing summer. How do you reset?
Right.
And so that you're ready for some of this early action that you've got to be ready for, just in case you get in front of the right people.
No question.
What
So,
does that look like?
it looks like really basically when that August, the August months, when they go back to school, they'll probably slow down for a week or two and they'll pick up right at the end of August again. And it will go strong all the way
Mm,
through October 4th and 5th, when's the last time coaches can go out and actively recruit, unless obviously there's other recruiting ways, unless your baseball team goes to a team camp at that university, or there's
mm,
a instance where that happens because the whole thing, once October 5th comes down, there's going to be a shutdown period. There's going to be a quiet period. There's going to be a dead period where, coaches can only talk to those guys on campus for a little bit, and then it goes completely dead. Okay. And that debt period's going to go all the way through
mm.
until the winter, until they start having their winter camps. Then they start inviting guys over to the school and start doing some winter camp showcase stuff. But this is the window right now, and really from now until October 5th, that athletes need to really hunker down and start choosing where they want to go, either with their club team or travel team, or wherever they want to go to a showcase where they get in front of a lot of coaches, which I strongly like. Show ball is coming up in September, like 11th and 12th in Southern California and Orange. Is like I mean 35, 40 coaches there. Okay. And that would be a great one. And then there's another couple that are back east too, that if you're one of those athletes that wants to get out of the West Coast and wants to get back east, you need to be at these events. So there's opportunities, but I think strategically, as you and I always talk about managing an athlete, you need to know what's going on, athletes and families, to understand where you need to be or where you're going to have the most eyes on you. It's not always going to a like perfect game showcase or a PBR showcase because coaches may not be there. But you got to figure out what's the best place where all of them are going to be and go to that event. I think you need to have at least 10 to 25 coaches watching you if you go to an event. If you only have like 6 coaches watching you, I think you're wasting your time. I think you need to have in the teens, in the 20s, at these event showcases if you decide to go individually as an athlete.
Mm.
Yeah. And then here's another thing too, Aaron, and I want to talk about the back end next year, okay?
Mhm.
2027. From the time high school, when they start talking to these athletes again, like in April, early April to June, there's going to be another period of recruiting. And the reason why it's going to be like that is because kids, the coaches, college coaches are going to know what kids or athletes in their college program are going to leave. They have a clue, like, hey, this guy's leaving, they heard it, and they're gonna go actively go find somebody. You and I had an athlete who got a roster spot and got academic money in June, and you know who I'm talking about. He did, and I told him, I said, here's gonna be your period. And I said, you got to trust us, Aaron and I, what we're going to do, but this is your period. And lo and behold, what happened? That was his period,
Right.
just because he managed it well and we saw what was happening in the marketplace. So I tell parents and players out there, understand the marketplace, what's going on, who to contact. Who are some of the where are some of the best places where you can go that you've communicated to prior that can cross you off on their list or add you to their list to possibly have a chance to play at the next level, collegiate baseball. By the way, all levels are good now, Aaron. It's no like, oh, this is a little weaker than this one. No, they're all good. You have this transfer portal that made college baseball good now at all levels. So, that's what I'm thinking a little bit. I mean, it definitely, Aaron, it definitely has changed a lot. And the pro game, the draft, and all that stuff, and the NCAA rule about NIL and the portal, all of that together has changed college recruiting forever. And I think people need to understand that. It's not like it was pre-COVID. It's not. I know NCAA's put laws into it, like 5 for 5 years. Yeah, that's an advantage for these athletes and stuff. But your clock starts once you turn 18 or you step on that campus.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You won't see the 25 and 26-year-old player anymore at D1 baseball or D2 baseball anymore. You're not going to see that. They got 5 years, complete five, and then when you're 18, it starts. Bam, right there. So, understanding that a little bit more out there to all you parents and players, understand the rules, understand what all this means, and they can go to ncaa.org to get this information, especially now since there have been new laws instituted in the past month about recruiting.
Yeah. And you raise a good point that you've got to start to take it upon yourself to keep up with this ever changing landscape. And like you said, go to the NCAA website so that you can understand some of these rules. I know a lot of people in sports kind of get their information in the bleachers, from parent to parent,
Right.
word of mouth. But sometimes a lot of things get lost in the translation, and there's maybe some fine print or loophole that you can use to your advantage based on your situation, or at least give you a better idea on how to strategize put together your recruitment
Right.
strategy.
Right.
So, do your homework on that. Don't kind of just assume, okay, well, you've heard this and that, and it's 5 and 5, but there may be some kind of carve out. There may be some other, you know, extenuating circumstances that might apply to your athlete. All of those things. Or you may, I don't know, maybe have less time than what's stated.
Right.
Maybe you're thinking something else. You also need to think about who that applies to right now too. You know, so all of those things you gotta just take the time and find that out and see for yourself. And if you're not sure about all that, then ask an expert. Ask someone you know in the business, not just
Right.
what some parent says in the bleachers during a game.
I hear a lot of bleacher talk, and it's funny. I start
Yeah.
laughing, and I go, That's not necessarily true. That doesn't apply now.
Yeah,
My son did this. I was recruited
yeah.
this way. And I say this to everyone, and I even in our company with our recruiting class that Suzette and I have, the biggest thing I say is every athlete's journey is different. Don't
Hmm.
assume that because here is an apple over here and the apple is the same way over here. It's not. There's a whole bunch of fruits and a whole bunch of other nuts and stuff. And I'm going to tell you, it's different for everything that you see. So I tell parents, I tell players, hey, every journey is different. Don't go by, and I'm glad you mentioned the bleacher talk, but don't go by what you just kind of assume. Don't
Yeah.
assume anything. Always ask questions. And most majority of the college coaches are very open to talk about discussion about recruiting, even if they're not recruiting you. They just want to give you information. And I think that's so valuable. And I think a lot of people get turned off because, oh, they said no to me. Well, why don't you ask some more questions? Say, hey, listen, do you know of another place that might need an infielder or an outfielder? Or, can you assist me a little bit? You see me play. Maybe you could talk to somebody else. Why aren't we using that resource? When some college coach says no, why don't we just say, hey, can you help me with this? I need some help, And I think every college coach is going to reach out to that athlete because they feel for them. But no one uses that, Aaron. That's a little tidbit right there for you. That's a little morsel or a little tip. So I find that interesting.
Hmm. Good deal.
Yeah. But that's what we have today on the recruiting, and I just encourage everyone out there is go out, and if you want it bad enough, make a plan and initiate your plan. And if you're confused, go ask an expert. What should I do? How should I go about doing this? And hopefully everyone will do that out there. That the more opportunities that you put out there for yourself, the better chance you have to move on to the next level, Aaron.
Sounds good, my friend. Good info.
All right, all right, all right. Well, hey, thanks for listening to our podcast today. Ask Aaron and ask EJ. This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
This is Coach Aaron Thigpen, the source. We'll see you.